Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Ed. Today we're going to be talking about Zomedica. Ticker goes with ZOM. Make sure to drop a like to this video to help the channel grow, subscribe, and leave notifications on. If you didn't watch my previous videos, you'll find it in the description below. Nonetheless, I'll give you a good perspective and a good overview of what ZOM is and the potential. So make sure to drop a like and let's jump right into this one. So Zomedica, if you haven't heard about this one here, there is one big product that this one has a lot of potential behind, which is Traforma. And if you don't know what Traforma is a device about the size of a shoebox and weighs around 7 pounds. And it works on desk or on shelf. Traforma delivers accurate, reliable data when testing for thyroid and adrenal diseases. Assay performance metrics to determine the sensitivity were determined with the goal of meeting or exceeding the stringent testing standards found in reference lab settings. And Traforma is expected to launch on March 30th. I'll talk about it in a second, where the effects of that launch and what to expect a bit more to the end. But just a bit of latest news that we need to cover is that they retired some of the preferred shares, which is amazing because this decreases some of the amounts of outstanding shares. And they also announced their year-ending 2020 financial results that I'll go over in a quick second here. Zomedica recorded net loss, comprehensive loss for the year of December 31st, 2020 of approximately 16.9 million or 0.05 per share compared to 0.19 per share and 19.8 million. Now, a big part of that is that Zomedica, which is in development stages, recorded no revenue in 2020. And so that's why you see a massive loss. So this is why a lot of people are being very bullish on Zomedica, because of their Traforma product, and how, if you need to watch, I think, 2 videos ago where I do talk about their teams, and they're basically assembling an entire team to go for Traforma developments and sales, and it looks really bullish in that sense. And moving on, we need to cover a bunch of stuff. So we already discussed a bit of the financials in a nutshell. They have revenue coming up in 2021, and they're off after. And then basically they become not a net negative or a net null revenue. So we have retired shares. Another thing is announcing full exercise of over allotments options by underwriters, and the gross proceeds of that is approximately $200 million before expenses. And they also had 174 million, roughly around there, bought deal. And this is important because here, let's go on with it. They have a market cap of $2.2 billion. You go to the statistics. And by the way, I believe this is not actually over the year, but their statistics, the price over book is 28.60, and this is based on the most recent quarter. So a lot has changed in the most recent quarter, so the price over book will improve because they have more cash on hand of all the basic offerings or bought deals, etc. they've done. So the price over book will improve. And here on the last quarter, if you were to look at the income statement, you're looking at somewhere around negative $4-5 million. So that's the only amount of money that they need to release a net, or release revenue for and sell, for them to become, for the first time ever, net positive. In terms of the total assets, here's where things get a lot more interesting. Their total assets is 66 million, right? They did have more assets than liability before, thanks to continuing offerings previously in 2020. And in terms of total liability, it's 15 million. And so they have a lot of cash, because this 63 doesn't include the 200 million or the 174. So you're adding around 373.5 million to be accurate, minus some expenses here and there, and you're adding towards your total assets over 410 million. And you see your total liability, total debt, it has enough cash to keep going even without the Traforma product. So that is definitely bullish, and the price over book, again, as I did say, their valuation will increase because they raise enough cash to get it there. Now moving on towards institutional buyers. Institutional buyers, Raoul Jeffrey added 2.2% of the entire company in February, and the rest is a couple more, around almost 5% in January. In terms of institutional buyers, we get to see things are looking a bit more bullish. More people are adding. JP Morgan decreased their shares, but you get to see companies like Bacity, Morgan Stanley, Katir Investments adding their shares. Again, that's bullish. Insiders, you don't get to see much going on, and nothing significant here, and we can move on now towards technical analysis. Before moving on towards technical analysis, please make sure to subscribe and leave notifications on. It helps my channel a lot. If you would like to join my Discord and ask me more questions, etc., or join the discussion about this one, it's totally free. It's in the description below. And First off, 1 week perspective, we see that the 10 SMA is acting like a really nice support to this one, where it's currently at 160, so we don't really expect it to drop below the 160. That's the only thing that we need to look at on the 1 week perspective. On the 1 day perspective, we see that there's a trading action zone between the 202 and the 155, and if it does dip within there, you will see a positive reversal, and it happened 1 and then 2 twice. Third time, we'll also probably go ahead through with it. Price point is above 50 SMA. ADX doesn't show much other than the potential of another very strong trend coming up. William %R shows it's overbought, but the MACD says that next week it's very, very, very likely we're seeing a positive reversal by it going towards the positive side. In terms of momentum, we're clinching above a 0, and that's amazing. In terms of the moving average, you get to see the moving average bands are clinching in together, which means we don't expect much of a massive move above the 249 or below the 168, and accumulation isn't a bad thing, especially coming up towards the March 30th date of the Truforma launch. Stochastic fast and stochastic slow are both showing that, hey, this one is actually on the way for this outbreak that is going on. We're looking down from around $1.80 to all the way to $2.40. That is a nice move. Now, significant Fibonacci retracement shows significant support at 182, 148, 115, 73 cents, and 6 cents. Significant resistances are 230 and 291. And then we can go ahead and just quickly take a look into just significant price line actions. And we see that the significant resistance sits at, as we said, 230, followed by 237, 255, and then 267. Significant support sits at 202. And we're looking at 194, and we're looking at 178, we're looking down at 152, 130, 122, and then 90 cents. Comes to the question to Ed, what do you think is going to happen for this one? Is there any kind of trend line? Is there anything in terms of a pattern? Well, patterns usually don't follow through very much, but there is a pattern actually for this one. This trend line is actually going upwards. If you ignore these ticks, it's still in play, and it's a very strong one. So that's a really good pattern to trend line to take a look at in general movements. In terms of closer towards the March 30th, which is in 2 weeks, I do think that this price point will probably continue to see higher. One thing I need you to be very careful of is on the day or on the launch, buy the rumor, sell the news. Sometimes a lot of this movement has been priced in on the launch of the Truforma. Now, when I say that, I'm saying short term, but take a quick long term about their performance with their Truforma product. It's either a good launch or a bad launch, and we're hoping for a good launch. If that is the case and they do sell a good amount of them, we will see that reflect on their long-term balance sheets, which would be amazing because they were net negative revenue, or net negative revenues, negative income. That means they didn't have any revenues. So things are looking interesting for this one. Follow this trend line, and best of luck. Have a wonderful day.